I'll call the meeting to order for the regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, Monday, July the 26th, 2021. I'll ask the city recorder to call the roll.
Mayor Noes.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanks.
Here.
Alderperson Almacher.
Here.
Berry.
Here.
Blackwell.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
McGee.
Here.
7 present.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have the invocation by Reverend Ricky Wade. Reverend Wade, please stand for the invocation and continue standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Loving God, you have created this day in which we live in all of its wonder and beauty, and for that we give you thanks. We also give you thanks for our mayor and this city council who serve the people of Tullahoma with love and devotion. We ask that you would pour forth your wisdom and your grace upon them as they continue about their work. We thank you for our first responders, those who watch over us and keep us safe, and we ask that you would watch over them and keep them safe. Guard our community. Build a hedge about us that we might be faithful as your people, that you would be our God, and we would indeed be your people. So be in the midst of these proceedings this night, and we pray that thy will be done. This we lift up and pray in the precious name of Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
This time we'll be opening the floor for a public hearing. The first public hearing will be on a request to rezone 206 West Hogan Street from low-density residential R1 to neighborhood commercial district C3. Is there anyone who would like to speak regarding that rezoning? Hearing none, we'll move along to the next public hearing, and I will remind anyone who is speaking this evening, we will limit your comments to 2 minutes. If there's anyone who wishes to speak but yet wants to donate their time to another speaker, please identify yourself and to whom you're allocating your time prior to the starting of the public hearing. So at this time, we'll have a public hearing on a request to rezone 704 Forest Drive from low-density residential R1 to high-density residential R3. Is there anyone who would address that public hearing?
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Ernest Hobbs. I'm with Tennessee Homes. We're at 903 North Jackson Street, Tullahoma, Tennessee.
You'll have 2 minutes.
I did bring some presentation boards with me tonight so I could kind of explain the project that we're doing at this property, just so everybody's aware on what the plans are. Could I bring those out and show you all?
You have your 2 minutes.
Okay. I know the audience can't see this, and I apologize. I'll turn around here in just a minute. But we are the owners and managers of this property at 704 Forest Drive, and it was built back in the 30s, 40s, something like that. It was an old water plant for Tullahoma. And back in the 90s, they were actually converted to apartments. And so there's actually 4 apartments here in this building. It sits on about 1.6 acres, and our office gets called every day for rental property. People are really trying to find a place to live right now. So you can see a lot of the empty space that we have around these apartments. And since these apartments are so old, we had decided to go ahead and knock them down and build some additional units on here that would be brand new and would allow additional rental property for those that are looking for a place right now. There would actually be 2 entrances for the property. One on Forest Drive, which is already there, and then one on Country Club, which is already there. So traffic would still be going out both sides of the property. The plan would be in phase 1 to build 2 units on the Forest Drive side, keep the entrance, of course, there, keep what's currently in existence there until these are built. Then we would actually knock down this property and move everybody into the new units. And then once that's knocked down, we would actually have a total of 4 units that we would actually then have, with again the entrance still coming out on Forest Drive and Country Club. So I know I'm probably getting short on time, but
Thank you, Mr. Hobbs. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your explanation. We appreciate you bringing your show and tell.
no problem.
Thank you.
You want to move us back up there, or?
I think if you want to put it back up there where anyone could see it, that would be
Okay.
fine. Is there anyone else who would like to address the rezoning on 704 Parsons Drive? Please come to the podium and state your name and address, and you'll have 2 minutes. Before you start, I will remind you again, if anyone wishes to donate your time to someone else, please do so before you start, and we'll allow that speaker to use your 2 minutes.
I mean, they
Please
should do
state
it
your name
now
and go ahead.
before I start?
You may go ahead. No one's donated any time to you, so you have 2 minutes.
Okay, I would like to just describe the neighborhood.
Can I have your name and address
Oh, yes,
before you begin?
Of course. Patricia Reed at 808 Forest Drive,
Thank you.
which is just across the street, basically, from this apartment complex proposed. I'm not really, evidently, there are not many people considered in the neighborhood by the types of announcement that went out and, people sort of surveying the place. But we consider our neighborhood to extend from Hogan to Hood, which is probably almost a mile and maybe half a mile the other way, with all the intersecting cross streets. It's pretty amazing. I stood here 12 years ago to speak on this very same issue. And it was declined because this was a very unusual neighborhood. We're basically extremely low-density housing, 1 to 2 people per house, basically. Most of them are owners, and most of them are retired. So it's a very quiet, established neighborhood. People, even who have lived there in the past, have come back now to settle in their former neighborhood. There are alternatives. I would like to point out that on the corner of Forest and Stewart, there was a big house on a very large lot that has now become 3 houses, very much to the addition and the benefit of the neighborhood. If anybody would like to develop, that's a good example. The problem is we're not in a gated community, or do we have any other protection for our property except the zoning laws? So we really need to count on you. It's not just property values, but these human values that we have in that neighborhood that I appeal to you to be our advocate. Thank you.
Thank you. There's someone else?
Hi, I'm Tori Crusak, Duval. I live at 702 Forest Drive. So my house is the one that's going to be right next to that one. I have an 8-month-old and a 10-year-old, and they love to play out in the yard. I have dogs, and we already have enough traffic going through there. We just had a 3-car pileup in a neighborhood that's right on that road. I moved over here about this time last year because I felt that it was a good community. It's an older community, but it's also established. So that everybody's real nice and welcoming, and everybody tries to watch out for everybody. And that's what I wanted for my kids to grow up with. And this coming here is going to make traffic crazy. We're gonna have more wrecks. We're gonna have all kinds of chaos. I mean, please consider the children. I know there's a lot of kids that are in the neighborhood, and we have enough problems with speeding, and this is only gonna make it worse. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hi, my name is Mary Beth Prince, and I live at 702 Country Club Drive, and I would like to donate my time to Karen Sellinger.
Don't necessarily know the legalities on this. I'm Karen Sellinger, 326 Druid Lane. This is my son, Jaden Sellinger. I am his conservator, so he's donating me his time also. So, with that being said, I am extremely opposed to the rezoning of this. It was mentioned at the last commission meeting I attended that base contracts need more housing options. I get it. Is it Tullahoma's only? Is Tullahoma take that on just themselves, not Manchester, Winchester, Estill, everything? It's not just our sole responsibility. Our single-family dwelling area has to suffer to possible additional economical housing for unknown contracts at Arnold Air Force Base. When was the last contract won by the base? I don't know. I'm not out at the base. A little over 2 years ago, the base had a contract to upgrade all of their lighting. The house next door to me was rented by the contractor for that lighting. It was like living next door to a frat house. The property was damaged. An adjoining neighbor's property was damaged at 707 Forest Drive. So what does the future bring for more of that if you put in high density for us? I can personally speak about Forest Drive, Fort, Druid Lane. It was mentioned unused space that has massive, it was mentioned tonight that unused space is there. It is. I grew up in this neighborhood, born and raised in Briarwood. Massive drainage issues, what's that gonna do to it? Unfortunately, I have a neighbor now that is figuring out the drainage issues. Her and her husband have spent tons of money and time on their property, adjoining this property. So it was not intended for the amount of traffic it sees on a regular basis now. Our roads cannot handle a complex worth of tenants, workers, delivery drivers. That's adding tons more traffic to our area. When I came home from the Planning Commission I attended last time, I came home to a vehicle crashed into the tree in my front yard. I had a neighbor call me saying, hey, you better go this route, not that route, because you won't get through. So that's the stuff we deal with on a regular basis. Friday morning, 707 Forest Drive, mailbox taken out again for I can't count how many times. Garbage can strewn across yards. Next door neighbor's ditch trashed. We witnessed several semi-trucks, dump trucks, and heavy equipment trucks cut through our neighborhood on a daily basis. It's not a weekly or a sometimes, it's a daily basis. Y'all want to add more traffic to us? We're not okay with this. Children have to walk to and from schools in these neighborhoods. They have to either trek the dangerous roads or trespass through people's property. I'm even afraid to have my own child that is a grown man. He's 20 years old, grown man. Check the mail on our road. Get the garbage can from the road. I'm supposed to be, as a parent, teaching him life skills, responsibilities. I fear that. I love our neighborhood. Let's clarify that. Love our neighborhood. It's where I grew up. But it's a single family dwelling neighborhood, not a complex neighborhood. This is where I wanted to start our life. This is our home. This goes through, it's making me question that. I'm the only one in my entire family born and raised in Tullahoma. I love my town. I love my neighbors. I love my community. Please make me keep loving that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Thank you for letting us join you today and hearing us. We really appreciate it.
Please state your name and
I'm
address.
sorry, my name is Rhonda Gillen, and I live at 805 Forest Drive.
Thank you.
I purchased my home a year and a half ago. I moved here from Georgia to settle in Tullahoma to be close to my sister. One of the most important things to me is safety. I'm getting older. This is hopefully my last home, and I would like to think that it's my last safest home. My concern, as many of the people have expressed, is safety and vulnerability. More than property value, I think we value our lives and the things that happen when you bring multiple units into a community. I did some research, and one of the things that I saw was that Realtor.com, I believe, had published that homes that have multiple units brought into them, into their neighborhood, have a tendency to have a 14% increase in crime. And oftentimes the crime is not just petty crime, but it's violent crime. And I think if you take a look at the people in this room, that is the absolute last thing that I would hope you would have on your heart. Other than that, the traffic we talked about, I've also done some research that says that it may not be property values that are so highly affected, but it's the ability to resell your home. People will make a choice whether they want to live in a community that has units next to it or not. And therefore, the pool of people who are interested in your home will be less. So between transiency, which will increase crime, vulnerability, violent crime, the traffic, the resale value that we all are especially aware of today, and lastly, this is the first step. What happens when my neighbor next door decides to sell her 1.5 acres? Do we have another unit go up? My fear is that this is the first of many more opportunities like this to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name's Edwardmurti. I live at 501 Essex Court in 105. Yeah, 105 Essex Court in Briarwood. Only been there 40 years. But anyways, I wanted to address not the traffic, but the parking. And if you have, how many units do we have?
Up to 23.
Up to 23. Okay, multiply that by 2 cars per unit. Just call it 40 cars. There's room for 40 cars to park. Do they do like they do over on Avoca Road, where sometimes on a Friday or Saturday night, somebody doesn't have room in their driveway, they're parking on the sidewalk on the other side of the street. And that's what I think. They have plenty of parking over there that can fill up the Lions Club around the water tower. But the roads what are the roads over there? 8 foot? And Avoca, I think, is a little bit more than 8 foot. If you had wider roads would help out some. But anyway, just the parking is what concerns me. It's on my way to Dameron's to lunch, and that's going to be a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody else?
Hi, my name is Ruthie Sinkier, and my husband and we moved to Tullahoma 2.5 years ago. People ask us why we moved to Tullahoma.
Address, please.
Oh, sorry. We live at 1011 Forest Drive.
Thank you.
People ask us why we moved to Tullahoma. We say we shot a dart and it landed here because nobody ever heard of it. However, it is a beautiful town. It is a beautiful city. We love Tullahoma. I am strictly very, very opposed to this. I live right at the corner of Forest Drive and Hood. There's many times that I'm cutting my lawn and I'm turning my lawnmower around, and I risk being hit by a car. The traffic is very heavy on that corner. What y'all don't realize maybe is that a lot of people come down from, all the way from Henderson and all that area there, and they come all the way to the corner of Forest and Hood, and then they turn on Hood on right to go take Country Club. Why do they do that? Because 1 is a direct route, 2, it avoids traffic. They don't have to circumvent all sorts of turns around Country Club to get to the main road. So I see that all the time. When we purchased our home 2.5 years ago, I thought this was going to be a very quiet area and no traffic. And that's it, it's not. So you add 25, 30, 40, whatever many units y'all want to add. At the end of this, it's not going to work out for the neighborhood. We have kids in our neighborhood. My neighbor across, just next to us, has a 3-year-old little boy. What's going to happen to that little boy? There's other kids that ride their bikes in our streets. What's going to happen with the increased traffic? There's no signage. There's a stop sign, that's it. There's no slow down the speed. I see cars every time, doesn't matter the time of the day, driving fast on my street. So add that more, and that's not gonna work for the neighborhood. This is not a good idea. And y'all should be thinking about the people that already live there, the kids that already live there. There's gonna be an increase in the school population. I have nothing against people moving into neighborhoods, but not that amount of people. That's not the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hi, I'm Ward Stockwell. I live at 707 Forest Drive, right across the street. As one of my neighbors mentioned, my mailbox was taken out on Friday. It is a very narrow street and it's a lot of traffic. But I moved there so that my family could go to the walking distance to the surrounding schools. And, without sidewalks and with the current traffic situation that we already have, adding more units is just gonna exacerbate that, and it makes me worried. You know, the kids already have to, you know, walk along the street and then try and get out of the way as traffic is coming by. I've got, well, they were both going to East Middle School there, and one of them is now moving over to the high school, so she's gonna have a little bit longer walk. But I see it day in and day out, the people that are coming in and cutting up Fort to go through, or heading past the other way and going up Druid to get on through. The traffic doesn't slow down. As one of my neighbors said, it was just a week or two ago, and someone came around the corner from Forest onto Druid at such a speed that they slid off the road, hit a telephone pole, and shot across over into their front yard and hit their tree. You know, it was my house that made the call to her to let her know, hey, you better go check out front and don't come this way. And as far as the units that are currently there, you know, I haven't been here very long, and there have been multiple police units that have been stopping at the small 4 unit thing that's there already. I just see it getting that much worse when, you know, if we, you know, take that and quadruple it. Like Edwardmurti said, I don't know where they're gonna park, for one, and for two, I mean, you know, when you start doing these high-density housings, the crime just goes up, and that makes me nervous. And I've got kids, and I want to protect those kids, and I can't do it without the help of you guys. You know, it's just nerve-wracking to me. And I understand before I moved in there, the mailbox had been taken out maybe 4 or 5 times more in the past few years. To the point where the mailbox that's currently up there, you know, if somebody hits it, it's at least putting a big ding in their car, because we put in an extra heavy-duty mailbox there. But didn't stop them from hitting it and carrying the mailbox all the way over into the neighbor's front yard. Is that my 2 minutes is up? I'm quite sorry. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Guys, I'm Mark Baker. I live at 304 East 4th Street. I just gotta say something. I had no idea she worked this late. About it. I've been living over there for basically my whole life. I lived over on Cedar Crest Drive, and I moved over on 4th Street back in 2009. Great neighborhood. I mean, just an old, good, great neighborhood. Everybody is fixing their houses up. You know, they're doing what they need to do to make the neighborhood look better, this and that. And when I found out about this new apartments coming in and stuff, and I knew that Ernie was involved, me and him are friends, you know. He actually used to live beside me over on 4th Street. He knows how the traffic is over there, especially in the mornings when school traffic's coming there, and afterwards, it's awful. It's bad. We do not have the sidewalks, as everybody knows, enough sidewalks to support the kids driving back, you know, getting back and forth and stuff. And as far as traffic, it's gonna kill us neighborhood. It is. So I disagree on doing this. I would love for Tullahoma to grow. People need to build, but not in that area. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
I'm Michelle Sabra, Millie Walker's daughter, and she lives at 801 Country Club Drive. Couldn't be here today, and I'm going to donate my time to Barbara.
Anybody else want to go for it that's here for Forest?
Yes, I do. My name is LaDonna Shiplet. I live at 104 Morgan Street. And my concern is having that amount of apartments come in with all the children in the neighborhood. You try to screen as best as you can. Another thing is where I live, the drainage is horrible. We have spent thousands of dollars to keep the water out from under our house. And I'm sure everybody in the area that I'm at has done the same. The traffic will be horrible. And although I have been in a community in Lake Charles, Louisiana, small community, just like where I'm living, where just 2 duplexes were put in, only to have murders happen. Just a small unit. So I would just hate to see that many people come into an established neighborhood, an older neighborhood, where we just want to grow old, take care of our children and our grandchildren. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Good evening, everyone. I live on Hood Drive. My mother owned it before me, and I inherited it from her. I love that neighborhood, and I believe it to be a valuable asset for Tullahoma.
What's your name, ma'am?
State your name.
Pardon, can you hear
Your
me
name?
now?
Your
Pardon?
name.
I'm hard of hearing.
Your name.
Oh, my name is Jennifer Wendell.
Thank you.
And I'm a former editor of Mack out at the base. I was out there for 3 years, and part of my job was to do corporate communication, and that was to get the, whoever worked out there at the time that I was working there were like 4,000 people. And the Air Force wanted to do a number of things, like, say, clearing all the pine trees, you know, that went out to the base, and clearing them away. And the population objected to that and said, oh, it's going to look terrible, terrible. And so on one cover of Mack, I put the forester and his 8-year-old son in front of a tall pine tree and said, look, you guys, spot the 8-year-old in this picture. And one of them was the pine tree. In other words, it'll grow real tall, you know, in no time flat, so don't object to this, this plan. There is no way you can persuade people and put a bow on that pig. It's just never going to smell right. And I say, but I do sympathize with Tullahoma being in dire need of more rental properties. And I remember when I came back here, 8 months pregnant, 37 years ago, my former husband had accepted a position with UTSI. And even then, we could not find a rental property. We ended up at a small house on Cumberland Street, and it was cute, and we dealt with it until, you know, we were established and knew where we wanted to live. But so this is an ongoing problem, but that's not going to solve it. That is not zoned as, I'm kind of hard of hearing, so as you can tell, I haven't heard what most people have said, so forgive me if I repeat. But that neighborhood in no way, shape, or form is, can accommodate more levels of traffic. You just can't do it. But on the plus side, sure, take that plan and go put it somewhere where there is like, well, there are several dead zones in Tullahoma where big box stores have been and they've moved out. And I think Tullahoma can look to those dead zones as potential areas for putting apartment complexes. And you might think that that's pretty radical, but if you look at any cities that are successful, where people can walk to restaurants, shops, whatever, there's mixed zoning, you know, mixed use. And so that's worth looking into, at any rate, as a possible solution. But this pig not only won't smell good with a bow, it won't fly. So
Thank you very much. Next.
Hi, good evening. My name is Bobby Wilson, and I'd like to donate my time to my husband, George Wilson.
Address, please.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Dr. George Wilson. I live at 408 Albemarle Drive. One of the things that I would like to start off by saying is that when I was at the Planning Commission meeting, one of the things that I complained bitterly about was the fact that it is so difficult in this city to know what's going on. Look around. At the meeting where this was passed to y'all, there was one person there to complain. That was it. Now you see what happens when people in the city know what's going on and care about the city. This is what you get. This is on y'all. The Lions Club is right across the street from what y'all are talking about. Everyone here would have been there. This wouldn't have ever happened. Right now, you're talking about, and let me go to this. You approved, or has been passed to you, up to 23 apartments. There's nothing legally binding up there. I realize that the process that you go through does not require a plat presentation prior to rezoning. But going from R1 to R3 in a neighborhood like this is insane. The average lot size in the rest of that neighborhood is an acre. You're talking about putting 23 houses in the equivalent of 2 of the current lots that are over there. So let's take it another step. Parking. You estimate 2 to 2.5, so let's call it 3. 3 parking spaces per 2 bedroom apartment. That's 69 parking spaces. The average parking space is 9 feet by 18 feet. That's 11,000 square feet of asphalt. 11,000 square feet. Where is that going? So the problem isn't what he says he's going to do, and the problem really isn't even necessarily what he does, it's what he can do. This plan says up to 23 apartments. Once it's passed, there's nothing to stop someone from putting 23 apartments in there. Now, we're all in favor of making Tullahoma better, more housing. As someone just said, dead zones, the mall's dying. Put apartments down there. Look at downtown. Everybody wants to revitalize downtown. It was the focus of the 2040 meeting that a bunch of us went to. Revitalize downtown. Downtown already has the infrastructure. It has sidewalks. They're crappy, but they're already there. It may be easier to fix them than to build new ones. So what you're doing here is you're trying to jam into an R1 neighborhood something that has no business being in an R1 neighborhood. And let me take this a little step farther on my personal perspective, which is what someone else said. I see this as the beginning of the end. I think that the philosophy of a lot of cities, including this one, read your own report. It says that what you're trying to do, housing and community development objective 7.5.1.1.18, encourage infilling of existing residential areas. Really? So what you're going to do is you're going to invade our subdivisions and you're going to do this. That's not what anybody in this city wants. I think you can look around. Everybody who is here to object to what you're doing at 704. Everybody. So if I were running this meeting, it would be very simple. How many here oppose the rezoning of 704? 704, not rezoned.
Next.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Bolling. I live at 999 Forest Drive, and I agree with everything that everyone has said, so I won't repeat those reasons that they've said. My question is, why would this property in an R1 neighborhood be rezoned to R3? The comprehensive development plan states future use would be R2, and yet the Planning Commission may have recommended this, but that does not mean that you have to approve it. You have your own discretion to accept the Planning Commission's recommendation or to use your own judgment. And the comprehensive development plan doesn't even go to R3, it goes to R2. And the comprehensive development plan is what's currently being looked at to redo because it isn't a good future use plan. So for all the reasons that everyone has said, I hope that you will consider why you are wanting to put an R3 in the middle of an R1 development. And like Dr. Wilson said, you know, he can put whatever he wants up there, but once you rezone this to R3, there's no going back, regardless of what he decides to do.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Anyone out in the hallway want to talk about our 7044?
I'm Mary Miller, and I live at 328 Stewart Street. And about 40 years ago, my husband and I lived on Stewart Street. And he got transferred to Mississippi with his job, so when we came back, we built in the Lover Mill area for a while, but then we wanted to move back to town. And so this is the only neighborhood that we really felt comfortable building in again. So we built a new house last year, and so we're very happy there, and it's quiet, and we're opposed to having all the extra noise coming there. And our grandkids come over to play, and they walk to school, to Robert E. Lee School, and it's just not safe for all the traffic. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hey, my name is Randy Parsons. I live at 322 Druid Lane. I'd like to donate my time to Jess.
My name is Tom Parsons, and I live at 322 Druid Lane, and I'm giving my time to him.
You have 6 minutes, sir.
And can I have your name?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Jess Stockwell. My sister and I own 707 Forest Drive. My sister's Barbara Detullo. I am also an attorney that's been contacted by some of the families to talk for them in this matter. The bottom line in this, and Dr. Wilson, you're a hard act to follow, sir. That was, but the bottom line is that everyone understands Tullahoma needs more housing for people that come in from the base. It is very difficult to find those things. This is just the wrong neighborhood. It is an R1 situation that, like someone said before me prior, that this will become an R3, which you can't go back from that. And real frankly, this is the bottom line here is profit. If you want to bulldoze those and build another 4 unit, I don't think people in this room would have a problem with that, because there's been 4 units for a very long time, because someone came in and got it slid through the radar at some point, probably 20 plus years ago. That building has been subdivided. But, so they'll live with that, even though it's against the codes. I understand there's a variance in place, okay? But that got slid through a long time ago. Now, I mean no disrespect to Mr. Hobbs, but you do not walk into, I've been an attorney for 25 years, you do not walk into a planning commission or an alderman meeting and go, you know, I'm going to build the cheapest, most cost-effective for me, profitable building for me in a place like this. You don't do that. You don't stay in business very long if you do that. You folks have an amazing amount of power. With the stroke of a pen, you can destroy this neighborhood. And it will, mark my words. If that is built in 5 years, it'll be Dawson. Thank you, everybody, for donating the time. I didn't use it all, but that's.
I'm Tommy Darden. I live at 605 Stewart Street. I've lived there all but 11 years, since 1976. I stand behind everything that every one of these people said. Thank you.
Thank you. Brevity is powerful. Anyone else?
Anyone else out in the hallway want to make a statement on 704 Forest? Yeah.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Bonetti Longhini, 325 Stewart Street, Stuart. I just want to say, yes, I acknowledge that there is a housing issue in Tullahoma, and it does need to be addressed. But we all know that there are many issues in Tullahoma that need to be addressed that come before you guys year after year after year. That includes sidewalks, traffic, drainage, flooding, erosion. My neighbors and I have come to the City Planning Commission multiple times asking to have drainage the drainage in the area addressed, and it gets deferred to the county. Then it gets deferred back to the city. And one of my neighbors was even threatened for trying to get it addressed herself, spending a lot of money taking care of it herself. Threatened by the city to go to the state. So how is it that we cannot address these issues in our neighborhood, but somebody can just walk right in here and build these apartments? And these apartments are gonna exacerbate the issues that you guys have been talking about for years. They're gonna make it worse. So what I wanna know is Tullahoma a city that just talks about issues and waits for a solution to just fall in its lap? Or is it a city that actually takes action? What are we gonna be? This is not a solution to that problem. There are a lot of ways we can solve the housing problems. It's not here. The road cannot accommodate it. The neighborhood cannot accommodate this. It just can't. And if you're not sure, table the discussion and go and spend time in the neighborhood yourself and see for yourself. It just can't accommodate it. Again, it's going to exacerbate the issues that you guys know we already have, that you guys know we're not solving.
2 minutes, go ahead.
Well, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
That everybody? I'm not opposed to any of this. I've been fighting this for years.
Your
I'm
name?
Barbara Detullo. I'm the owner of the home on 707 Forest Drive. I am the one that actually got most of the community, along with a few other people, to come today to this meeting. Because our small neighborhood, quiet neighborhood, you've heard it all multiple times. I don't have to repeat it. We don't have the infrastructure that we need in that neighborhood to accommodate that kind of rezoning in our neighborhood. My neighbor who just bought their house, unfortunately, did not know that their house was zoned, what it was zoned at the time that they moved into the home, to later learn that the property next door to them was going to be an apartment complex being built over there. Yes, we need housing in Tullahoma. There's lots of available ability. Would any of you want this apartment complex to go up in your neighborhood? We, as a community, have come together in a strong force to let you guys know we are not happy with this. This will also reflect back at the next hearing, because we will all be here again to support our neighborhood, because that's where we want to live and be happy at. Yes. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak on the rezoning of 704 Forest Drive? If not, let me thank each and every one of you for being here to do that tonight. Next, we'll have another public hearing. Be a request to rezone 3570 for New Manchester Highway from General Commercial District C2 to Low Density Residential District R1. Is there anyone that would like to speak to that public hearing?
Please state your name and address.
It's Brian Langum, 102 Plant Drive,
Brian,
Manchester.
Brian what?
Langum,
And 102?
Plant Drive.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Oh, well, I mean, this is about Manchester Highway, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we purchased the property last year, finished up some renovations on it, had a contract on it, and found out during the appraisal that it was on commercial. So started the process mid-May, just to get it rezoned from commercial to residential for a VA loan.
We understand that'll be on our agenda for this evening to vote on that.
So you're for?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I'm hoping you will all agree.
Thank you.
Thank you for your attending tonight. The next, we'll have another public hearing. Be a public hearing on a text amendment for self-storage warehouse use. Does anyone like to address that? If not, we'll move on to something that I've really been looking forward to this evening. We have, wait, one more?
Two more, right? No, one more, yeah.
Sign up staff.
Just did that.
Assignment
We'll have a
of
public
staff.
hearing on a text amendment for assignment of staff duties. That's been before the planning commission also previously. Does anyone care to speak on the text amendment change? If not, then we will now move on to accommodations and certificates, something that I've really been looking forward to this evening. We have a number of student athletes with us this evening. And I'll be reading the citation for each of these athletes that are here tonight, and thank you for coming. Is in that we have about 8 of them that we'll be reading. I'm going to read the citation, and if you will, after each citation has been read, after all the citations have been read, I will ask you to line up over by the flag so that we can get a photograph of you receiving the citation individually, and then we'll have a picture in front of the podium for all of you. Okay? That way we can speed things along a little bit. First off, and when I'm reading your proclamation, if you would, so people can see you and get an appreciation for what you've been doing, would you please stand? This recognition is presented to DeAndre Jenkins. DeAndre is with the West Middle School Boys Track and Field Team for achieving 2021 TMSAA State Championship High Jump. And the 2021 TMSAA State Champion for the 400-meter dash. Congratulations. Next will be presented to Andrew Ewing. Mr. Ewing, this is for the East Middle School Boys Track and Field Team for achieving 2021 TMSAA State Champion 4x100 relay. And for the 2021 TSAA State second place in the 4x200 relay. And for the 2021 TMSAA State second place 200-meter dash. Congratulations to you. Next, Mr. Lucas Willett for achieving the 2021 TMSAA State Champion 4x100 relay and the 2021 TMSAA State 8th place high jump. So congratulations. Next for Mr. Andrew Carmack. Well, I see you now. We have a large crowd tonight. And you're not the largest guy in the room, but I bet you're about the fastest. Okay, Andrew is presented, this is for achieving the 2021 TMSAA State Champion 4x100 relay. And for the 2021 TMSAA State second place 4x200 relay. And now Mr. Logan Prosser. I think Logan may not be able to be here this evening, but let me just, for the record, let me tell you that he's on the East Middle School Boys Track and Field Team for achieving 2021 TMSAA State Champion 4x100 relay, and for the 2021 TMSAA State 4th place long jump. So, Mr. Israel Hobbiter.
Miss.
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 Miss Israel. Okay, you're already standing. Okay, thank you. Okay, East Middle School Girls Track and Field Team 2021 TMSAA State 3rd place discus throw. And for 2021 TMSAA State 7th place shot put. And for Ms. Lily Story. Ms. Story is on the Tullahoma High School Girls Track Team for achieving 2021 TMSAA State 13th place in the 800-meter run. Congratulations. And now I'll say, with no pun intending, last but not least, Mr. Logan Crouch. Certainly not the least. Logan's on the Tullahoma High School Boys Track Team for achieving, and this presentation is for the 2021 TMSAA State 5th place shot put throw. So congratulations. Now then, if you will line up in the order that your name was called, we'll do a presentation over by the flag and get a picture with you. We'll do an individual picture, the group picture.
Oh my gosh, I'm hoping I can.
Is that him? I can take him. It's like 405.
Oh wow, we're doing them. Okay. Do what? You can all pay me.
Anybody have 50 cents? I don't know if I can use it.
I'm gonna
Lucas?
First place in the whole state. These guys are awesome.
No, right?
Yes, ma'am. I think thank you. And I think,
Logan Prosser.
so I'll double check and make sure. Are y'all saying? Yeah, okay, all right, just making sure. Just make away with my kids. Thank you.
It also,
Well, the rooms.
I don't know if you know. Okay, I have some table.
I know these rooms.
Okay, I'll double check. I'll see it's not here. Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
Oh, I don't know if I can make it to 7. Just go right now. Can I use the restroom really fast? There's 7. Okay. Oh, no, oh, I don't think I'm gonna make it through that. I don't think I'm.
Hurry up, go, Ruth, go. I believe in you. Run like a track team. That's when you know.
It was him?
It was him, and it was 10.
Oh, wow.
All right, now all of y'all will come over here for the couch. Okay, y'all will just give them the list.
Some things are missing. So I do that
How fast was that?
Thank you.
This guy just.
Mayor, as we
That would have been impressive if I'd done that.
Before Logan leaves, I believe you also just recently set a 405-pound bench record that had been standing for 10 years at the high school. He broke my record.
Congratulations.
Challenge you.
In your dreams.
1980.
A little more than 10 years ago.
Okay, well, thank you for everyone participating in that. That's one of the more enjoyable things that we have an opportunity to do is to recognize our young athletes. Tonight, we also have going to do a presentation from the Tullahoma Fire Department, and we'll be asking our interim fire department chief to come up, and that's for the safety pup going to be presented to the Tullahoma Police Department. So, Chief Pearson, you're welcome to make a presentation to Chief Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. With the generous support of the community, we have been able to broaden our safety programs within the city to include the Tullahoma Police Department. Tonight, I want to present the safety pup with fire pup.
Whoop. I was hoping it was going to be like a. Aww. Is the baby still here?
Chief Jason Williams has accepted the responsibility of caring and adopting the safety pup. Safety pup is a highly recognized friend to many children throughout the United States and is respected as someone who will give children and their families good advice and whose words can be trusted. The Tullahoma Fire Department and Fire Pup would like to welcome Safety Pup to the family and look forward to serving by his side. Now, we do have some special adoption papers from Chief Jason Williams.
Oh, how cute is that?
All right.
And a fee? Is there an adoption fee?
Yep.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I would just like to take this opportunity to thank the Tullahoma Fire Department for their great gift and our continued friendship and partnership in working in the community. One area that I think the fire department has absolutely always excelled in is reaching out to our young people and getting them involved and getting things. So I'm very thankful for the opportunity to bring us on board with that as well. So thank you again, Chief.
Thank you, Chiefs.
Thank you.
Can I get a thumbs up from the pups, please?
Thank you, pups.
Pups, fingers up. There.
It's so
Thank you.
No. I'll tell you that.
I know who he is.
We know who He's like Batman. We don't go in.
Tonight on the agenda, we do have a presentation from the Executive Director of Tullahoma Area Chamber of Commerce, Hope Sergeant Nunley.
Hi. Hi. Thank you so much. I'm going to be very brief because I know it's been a busy evening. Something that TACC realized while going through the allocations process is that we just need to have a more consistent presence in these meetings and updating you all on everything that we have going on and just inviting you to be a part of everything that we have going on. So again, I'm going to keep it very brief. So TACC has visited 19 businesses so far this year with our pop-in visit program. And what we do with our pop-in visits is we call the business ahead of time, let them know we're coming, we're bringing some ambassadors and board members, and we ask them to provide a tour and just some information about their business. We're just trying to educate our board and ambassadors on the local assets that we have in here in our community. So many of them come back to us with feedback saying, oh, I drive by that business every day, I'd kind of forgotten about it, it's a great reminder, and that they visited that business again. We have hosted 21 ribbon cuttings so far this year, and very proud of that. So many of these businesses share that that's one of the most exciting days for their business. They hang the framed photo that the newspaper provides on the wall. They hang the ribbon on the wall. And so I just want to take this opportunity to invite you all to join us at those events when your time allows, because they never forget the people that showed up on their special day. Our July Chamber Coffee will take place tomorrow. This is our monthly networking opportunity that we provide, and it's free to attend, and we do recognize our dignitaries that join us. So I'd like to invite you all to join us tomorrow at Resource MFG here in Tullahoma at 11 a.m. And our CEO kickoff is going to take place this coming Thursday, the 29th at 7:30 a.m. at Bel Air Elementary. If you're familiar with CEO, we partner businesses with schools, and it's just a great way to get involved. The parents, teachers, and the students greatly appreciate this program. So again, I invite you all to join us on that. And I did bring a schedule of upcoming events for all of you and invite you all to join us, and I look forward to seeing you all at a next chamber function. Any questions?
You said the CEO partners, it doesn't have to be a business, it can be anyone in the community, correct?
Yes. You can be a partner as an individual, and there is no financial commitment to be a partner. I always want to make sure and emphasize that. So you can read to the kids, judge the pumpkin decorating contest, the sky's the limit.
And if we're interested in doing that, is that where we go to the kickoff meeting? Okay, great.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, that's early.
You might be a few minutes later.
Any other questions from Ms.
But we'll have coffee.
Thank God.
Any other questions from Ms. Nunley?
Well, I appreciate your
Thank you very
time.
much for
Thank
coming
you.
this evening for your brief presentation. This time, we'll entertain any comments, other comments from the citizens or those who would care to address the board. Hearing none, we'll move into the, it's been a busy evening, hasn't it? At this time, we'll hear from our board, our hard-working board, comments from our Board of Mayor and Aldermen. We'll start on Ms. Blackwell.
Thank you. So thankfully, I was out of town for 1 week, so there's not as much to update as I usually do. But I wanted to first talk about the Joe Moon Way, the dedication of that, because I have a lot of thank yous I need to do really fast. I just wanted to thank Brenda Moon, Pam Bussell, Tom Murdoch, JP Kraft with Parks and Rec, Butch with Public Works, and everybody who put the effort into getting this put together. London's, who sponsored it, Master of Ceremonies, who sponsored it, MTSU, and the Chamber of Commerce for providing us with the ribbon and for the ribbon cutting. So thank you guys so much for doing that. It was an awesome, I spent a lot of time the past month or so working on that. So I think it was a fantastic way to honor Joe, and I know, I think Brenda really appreciated it. So thank you guys for being a part of that, and for those of you who attended from the board. I have my next coffee and conversations coming up, but just as a heads up, I'll be announcing that on Facebook as much as possible, and to the news too. I'm going back to work full-time again, so my timings are a little off. I went to the comp plan meeting, and I think that one of the things that I think Dr. Wilson touched on that I think is something we as a board should be thinking of, and I know I've emailed with a lot of you guys, is how we actually get our information out into the community. We've usually used the Tullahoma News, we put it on Facebook, but it's very clear to me that there are still people who we are missing. And I am hoping that, and I know I've inundated y'all with emails, that we find a way to reach those people who aren't getting the information through the streams that we used to get it, right? Things have definitely changed, I think, especially through COVID, especially over the past few years with, technology and such. And I think we need to become more creative in how we reach everyone in the community. So that's one of the things I noticed at the comp plan meeting. There was definitely a good turnout, which is awesome. We heard the same things, but I'm wondering if when we get even deeper into the community, we'll be hearing more stuff as well. The planning and coordinating meeting, thank you, Mayor, for hosting that again, was fantastic. And one of the things I wanted to bring up that I spoke about at it is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Walk, and that we have a city team. And I'm very excited about that. Mayor's participating in it. Alderman Dunn is. I emailed you, Alderman Berry, to see if it would be something that the Get Fit committee would want to be a part of. Check your email if you haven't seen it. I sent a couple of emails, but would love for you to partner with us on it. I think it's a fantastic way to, I know mental health is important with the Get Fit community and walking. I know that's something else you want to do. So this would be a perfect fit, I think, for it. So check your email, let me know. It's a few weeks ago that I sent it. So. And then August 12th at 8:14 a.m. is when the coffee and conversations will be, probably at Celtic Cup. Thank you to Parks and Rec for the July 4th celebration. That was amazing. I also went to KB Day at Jefferson Street Park that day too, and it was another fantastic event on July 3rd, actually. Speaking of Jefferson Street Park, I've been working on, hopefully, this weather is killing me over there, y'all. So we're hoping to do the resealing of the basketball court, as well as filling of the cracks between August 5th and 9th. So if y'all can put out some prayers to the weather gods to just please hold off on rain that week, because we really want to be able to have that finished, this project partially completed. We're also looking at pricing out some playground equipment there, and I know Mr. Worsham's not here today, but that there's something else that he's been working on with us over there. The Domestic Violence Fatality Review Team meeting is coming up next week, and I just want to take a moment to thank Chief Williams for working with us on finding information that we can utilize to continue this project on. So thank you to Chief Williams. And the last thing I have is one of the reasons why I've been writing some op-eds to the Tullahoma News regarding mental health care, because I think that as we are ending this pandemic, hopefully, and we're moving back into the community, we're going to see that there's a major need for our mental health, for us to ensure that we're taking care of our mental health. And it's also part of the reason why I think this American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is such a fantastic event to have here. So just wanting to share that with the community and with all of you, and invite you all to attend. So thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Dunn.
Yes, sir. We had a meeting with the Public Works Director and with Sue Wilson and our city engineer, Jim Patterson, and Mayor Noes attended as well. We met with the Tennessee Environmental Council about a 319 grant that we are pursuing. So I'm really looking forward to that. I know that a lot of people who were here tonight mentioned their concerns about infrastructure and stormwater in particular, and this would be something that would begin to address those things. It's a huge problem, but it would be something that would begin to address our watershed problems. Also, just be aware for the rest of the board, our watershed draft that Jim Patterson and Butch Taylor put together. I didn't do it. But the watershed plan that was drafted this past few months ago is going to come before this board, I believe, at our next meeting. I definitely want you guys to review it. It is something that I know a lot of our citizens have shown that they are particularly interested in. We need to address our stormwater issues, and this is just, again, the first step. I also presented a TDOT grant to Sue Wilson, who I believe forwarded on to Butch Taylor, which I'm really excited about. I hope we are able to do, addressing sidewalks near state highways. So this could be possibly near 41A or Highway 55. So again, we want our citizens to be able to safely travel to and from wherever they need to go. A couple of weeks ago, we had a rain barrel giveaway with Go Green, and I know a lot of people were very excited about it. I want to give a special thanks to Jesse Swear, Leslie Warren, and Vorkita Braxton, and Bob Bates for their help with that. And of course to TVA for their grant, and Coca-Cola, who also donated the rain barrels for that event. I've had several people ask me about rain barrels. If you are interested in the kits that we utilize, I went to rainbarreldepot.com, and we are going to have another rain barrel giveaway, but it hasn't been scheduled yet, so just stay tuned. And lastly, if you are interested in going to the Go Green meetings, they're the first Monday of the month at 5 o'clock here at City Hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman McGee.
Okay, I had the opportunity to meet 3 of the neatest kids. Their names are Nick, Carly, and Daniel Hatfield. They were selling drinks, and the money that they were collecting, they plan to donate it to the Tullahoma Police Department and to Tullahoma Fire Department. You can find them on the corner of West Grundy and Vine Street, and they sell drinks for $1 a can, and they are just the sweetest kids you'll ever meet. I also attended the comp plan for Tullahoma 2040. That was very interesting. I learned quite a bit by attending that. I also was honored to sing at the Midnight Summer Swing Ice Cream Social at South Jackson Civic Center. I was Etta James, and I sang At Last, which is fun. That's my passion. I also attended Chief Chastain's retirement. I didn't get to stay long, but I did get a chance to stop by there and just to wish him well. I also had a chance to go by the farmers market at South Jackson Civic Center, and they have a lot of neat things there. So I was real excited about being able to go there. I also did my due diligence by early voting for school board members, and I have met with some of the citizens, and I've emailed their concerns to Jordan Wilkes, who is the administrator intern, and to Ms. Wilson, the concerns that some of the citizens have. And I am also partnering with some of the officers of the Tullahoma Police Department to help distribute school supplies to families who just need a little help before school starts. And I still have information for those families who are dealing, still going through some hard times. I still have some resources that they can use, and if they would like to get that information, you can contact me, and I have that information for you. And I think that's it.
Oh, Mary.
Been a while since we met. I attended the 4th of July. Man, that just gets better every year. Of course, the Tullahoma 2040 cannot stress the importance enough of the citizens getting involved into that.
Mm-hmm.
That's our vision, not our vision, but it needs to be the city's vision of the future. On the comm center, we finally hired a new 911 director, Scott Ledoux. Looking forward to great things from him and the staff up there. You were able to join us with South Central Tennessee Tourism. It was kind of exciting. We got to bring a media tour into Tullahoma. These are put on by the state of Tennessee, and we were able to bring Tom Wilmer with Journeys of Discovery down here, along with the state's PR person and their tourism director, and some other members. We got to eat lunch at the Sundrop Shop. They took them out to Cascade Hollow and out to Beechcraft, which if you haven't toured Beechcraft, you need to go do it because it is amazing. Blew my mind what all was actually in there. And we got to visit Tullahoma Airport. Those podcasts from that have been coming out. You can find them on NPR. Just look up Tom Wilmer, Journeys of Discovery. Tullahoma's hasn't hit yet, but they're still in that because Bell Buckle was part of that tour. The Shelbyville Airport as well, but those are up there now. I attended the retirement ceremony for Chief Chastain. That was bittersweet. So we want to wish him well on his retirement. 35 years of service to the community. But looking around that room, the biggest takeaway that I had was that he was a servant leader who prepared that department for the future. Also got to attend the ice cream social at South Jackson Civic Center. That was amazing. There were a couple hundred people there, so it was great. I think those are kind of events that our community really does need right now, where we can get out. I got to listen to Miss Cernovia, and don't let her downplay. I think she's right there with Etta James. Attended the Joe Moon. That was, thank you for doing that. There's many of us who I think Joe Moon was a big part of their lives, and that was worthy of the man. Held a walk and talk with Barry at the Greenway. Did a downtown cleanup this past Saturday. The next one will be, community cleanup will be on August 21st. We're going to do the Big Springs, which is the Fraser McEwen area, and we'll go to the Greenway there. With Get Fit Tullahoma, started a kind of new initiative that I think I'm already going to rename Get Walking Tullahoma, and it's kind of a walk group. The goal of this is to kind of create a community-centric activity that encourages an active lifestyle and promotes some healthy social engagement as well, getting out and being around people you may not have been. That helps with mental health and those issues. You can go to the Facebook page, Get Fit Tullahoma, my page. There's a small little form that you can fill out, and we're asking for name and email, and for you to check the schedule on the days and times that are kind of good for you so that we can kind of coordinate for mass. I really want to make this something that you can take me or any city representative out of, and the community is powering itself, and so it really should be.
Are strollers allowed on the walks?
Well, I'm thinking about renaming it already because to something like Get Moving, because I want to encourage people of all levels, all abilities, to come out there, and walking is something that most of us do and take for granted that others can't. But I think the important thing here is that we're getting out and we're doing something healthy. So strollers welcome. I don't know about animals, but we'll see. The kind of last, I got a couple more, but I'll skip. I did go visit the neighborhood in the Forest Park area. I won't get into that. We've got an agenda item, but I had the opportunity to talk to several of the neighbors. I kind of walked around and looked at it myself, and if you were out in your front yard as I drove by, I stopped and chatted with you. But we'll talk about that more later. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Almacher.
Okay, so I'm going to start with my small business shout out. And so I've actually taken some time off for the summer and tried to spend a little more time with my kids since they're all wrapping up to get ready to go back to school. And so today I kind of put out an all call on Facebook and said, okay, give me your small business shout outs. Y'all, I'm set on the small business shout outs now. And I had some really great businesses, but the one that kept kind of being reiterated, so by popular demand, is the bakery on Lincoln Street. So if you've not had a chance to visit that downtown business, Mr. Gibbon, I know it's kind of over there right next to your office. I don't know if you've had a chance to pop in, but they have been putting some things on Facebook. These homemade oatmeal cream pies. I don't know if y'all seen those. but they drew me in. I'm not gonna lie. So get fit, Tullahoma, and then go get you an oatmeal cream pie. 111 West Lincoln Street opens at 9 a.m. They also do custom cakes, all kinds of different little sweet tooth and breakfast pastries. And their phone number is 563-7903. Okay, so I also want to recognize, I know that this was in our packet, but it didn't get read, but I thought I would do this, is these employees that are being recognized for their years of service. I noticed a couple of them were here. So I want to just thank Investigator Carl Purdom for 6 years of service, Investigator Cody Lindley for his 3 years of service, our SRO Willie Young for 7 years of service, our patrolman Brandon Schneider for 1 year service, and our patrolman David Young for 1 year service. And thank you guys for all that you do for us and for being dedicated to the city of Tullahoma. And as they were saying, I did also attend the retirement of Chief Chastain, and like he said, that was bittersweet, but those of you who are really loyal and are staying with us, you know, we like to see that, and we like to have these, we like to keep our good employees, and we want to, you know, be good to you guys and keep you on board for many years to come. So continue to tell us how we can be of assistance to you. We've had a tree board meeting since the last time we met, but and because of time, I'm going to actually ask that when Lyle is able, that we can put him on the agenda to do a presentation for the, as a forestry presentation, to kind of tell everybody where we're at with the tree board, what's going on. But if you're interested in being a part of the tree board, we are seeking some new members, and we meet the first Thursday of every month now at D.W. Wilson at, I believe, 11:30. So if you have questions about that and what the tree board does, reach out to me. The Tourism Council met this past Thursday, and I'm not going to talk a whole lot. I'll talk more at the next meeting. But there was some exciting news. Jordan, would you like to share that about where we're at with the Dustin Lynch?
Sure. So I have applied for Tullahoma to get a Tennessee Music Pathway sign, which is a marker that would recognize this being the hometown of Dustin Lynch. And so I've been coordinating with his management team, and I wanted him to choose the location. And once the state approves it, he chose the high school. So Dr. Stevens approved that. So where the Tullahoma High School sign is, where that outdoor classroom is, it will be up there near the road. So we're just waiting on the state's approval, and we'll have a big celebration when that's there. So proud to be a part of that. Thank you.
I didn't want to steal his thunder, because even though I'm the liaison on the Tourism Council, this was really his baby, and he really worked hard on this. So I've got to sing his praises. So thank you for that so much. And Ms. Wilson, you are doing a fantastic job as our interim city administrator, and we just can't, I mean, I'm just very impressed with the leadership that we have right now and everything that's going on. So one thing I did want to recognize is school's about to be starting back, and we are seeing some traffic issues. And one of the things that's kind of happened is these motorcycle accidents. I don't know if you guys have noticed or heard about, but here in Tullahoma, the last month or two, we've had several motorcycle accidents that have resulted in a couple of fatalities. And so if you would just be vigilant and make sure that you're paying attention to your surroundings, and it's motorcycle season, and you know, everybody's safety, let's be safety first, and watch your speed, because I do think that some of these accidents might be preventable. And I know that there's some things that they're asking at certain different places in town where we've had multiple accidents, that they're asking us to look at that. Our stormwater drainage issues, yes, it does seem like the rain will just not let up right now. So encouraging the rest of the board, as well as the community, to continue to reach out to us about and be aware of those hot spots of where we're having the flooding issues. And I want to encourage our administration of our city right now and as well as our mayor, we need to be in talks with the county about why I hear that from so many people. Well, the county says it's their problem. Well, the city says, they say it's the city's problem. Then the city says it's the county's problem, especially in those corners where we're right there on the county line and the city is, because it could be things that we're doing or things that they're doing. So we need to create especially with our comprehensive development plan, a way to address those city-county line issues with our stormwater drainage that seem to be affecting a lot of our homeowners. Let's see. Yes, early voting. Everybody make sure you get out and vote for your school board. And by the next time we meet, school will be back in session. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their summer.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanks.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try to be short. Boards that I'm associated with, TUA, we continue to have positive signups. We'd like to. There was a power outage in the western part of the city of Oak Park area. There was a tree that fell on the line and our backups failed. We had the most time out was 3 or 4 hours in this section, but we do a pretty good job about getting things back up when they're down. So I just wanted to let the people in that area know that they're there 24 hours a day to back you up, to keep you in power. Arts Council met, some of the things coming up with Arts Council's Art Crawl downtown. We had to set up a specific date for that, and the Arts Festival held by the Tullahoma Fine Arts Center coming up as well. July 4th celebration was wonderful as usual. There were thousands of people there. So that's a feather in the cap of the Parks and Rec Department. Also went by early for the retirement ceremony for Chief Sestine. Thank you for the years of service, and you will be missed, but somebody will step in your shoes, I'm sure, because you stepped in CB's shoes and you did a great job. As far as all the comments tonight, I appreciate the public comments. One thing I do not appreciate is when you bash our public housing in the city of Tullahoma. That was an uncalled for comment. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Of all the things that the Aldermen have mentioned, I have participated in just about every one of them. So, no said on that. And as far as our public housing goes, I attended one of the public housing meetings last Thursday, and they are doing a superb job. Let me remind you that they are doing a great job there. It's past 7 o'clock, folks, and there may be some people that need a bottle break. I'm going to take a privilege of offering a 5-minute break. So if you would please adhere to that 5-minute break if you need to go. We'll take a 5-minute break at this point. There's a
I ran during that time. And do you want me to just resend it to you?
Yeah.
I actually sent it like 4 times, 2 times with the wrong email address for some reason, and then and so it's like, bah ha 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 ha, here it is again. It's what, and then underneath.
But I keep getting emails from Miss somebody in some country.
Oh yeah, I keep getting emails from Mayor Noah's that aren't from Mayor Noah's.
To help him with this.
To help me, I need your help with this.
Really? You need to talk to David, the IT guy. He talked to me a lot. David, he talked to me a lot about it. I mean, I still got it. There's still going a lot of spam.
A lot of spam.
Well, he said that there's a reason because we haven't email addresses for specific targeted.
This time we'll reconvene. We'll now have a report from our city attorney to designate. Mr. Griffin, do you have anything for us this evening?
I do not. Mr. Worship's on vacation. He asked me to fill in, but there is no report.
Very good, thank you. This time we'll refer to our city administrator interim, Sue Wilson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I don't have too much either. I just wanted to comment on Alderman Dunn had mentioned grants. We are working on about 3 grant opportunities that have come up recently, one of which Winston Brooks has on the agenda for you tonight later. The others we'll be working on. And then also on the CEO partnership that the chamber puts together, the city is a CEO system-wide partner. We partner with all the school systems, so if you want to get involved, and we encourage all the employees to get involved any way we can support the school system. That's all I have.
Very good, thank you. Okay, at this time we'll go to our consent agenda, and before going to the consent agenda, let me refer to the note that must be read regarding the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which case they'll be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. During the portion of the meeting reserved for comments from citizens as shown on the agenda, citizens may request that the board remove an item from the consent agenda so that discussion may be held on that item. Let me read the caption for the consent agenda. Item number 2196, the minutes from the June 28, that was our last meeting, the regular meeting and the public hearing. Item 2197, we set a public hearing for August the 9th on a request to rezone 2000 South Anderson Street from general commercial C2 to neighborhood commercial C3. Item number 2198, announce a vacancy on the Tullahoma Regional Planning Commission for an unexpired term ending on October 26, 2024. We'll leave this open for 1 month and we'll make an appointment in 1 month from now. Item number 2199, request to approve emergency reporting software for the Tullahoma Fire Department. Item 21100, request to approve the purchase of a John Deere compact tractor from Tri-Green Equipment, LLC. Those are, by the way, the page numbers that you're referring to on 51 for details on these consent agenda items. Item 21101, request to approve the acceptance of a Boyd Foundation Dog Park Dash and authorization of a grant amendment. That's a $25,000 grant that we're requesting approval to apply for. 21102, request to approve journal entries for property taxes were paid during 2021. Do I hear a motion to approve consent agenda?
Second.
Approval by Dunn, seconded by Stockwell. All in favor, vote green. Red, approved. It's approved. Consent agenda is approved. There's no other old business, so we'll move on to new business at this point. I'll read the caption for ordinance number 1560. An ordinance to amend the zoning map of Tullahoma, Tennessee as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code, which is ordinance number 1392, to rezone an approximately .27 acres located at 206 West Hogan Street from R1 low density to C3 neighborhood commercial district. I have a motion on passage the first of two readings. You have a motion.
Move to approve.
Moved by Dunn and seconded by
Blackwell.
Blackwell and seconded by Perry. In discussion. Green for approval, red for no. Ordinance passes 7-0. Number 10, item ordinance numbers 1561, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma as set forth in the Tullahoma Map of Municipal Codes, which is ordinance number 1392, to rezone approximately 1.64 acre parcel located at 704 Forest Drive from R1 low density residential to R3 high density residential for passage on the first of two readings. Do I have a motion?
Move to deny.
Second.
You can. Yeah, I think so. I think we can.
We have a motion to deny and a second to deny.
Well, then we would have to.
Yeah, if you just don't make any motions at all, nobody seconds anything.
But there is a motion to deny. There is a
I
motion.
just made a motion to deny.
Just made the motion.
There's a motion to deny, and it has been properly seconded. If you vote yes, if you vote green, you will be voting to deny.
The rezone. Yes.
What about
rezone.
discussion?
Yes.
Yeah, do we have a discussion?
We will have a discussion. I'm saying, with this motion to deny, voting yes or green would be to deny the motion. Okay, any discussion?
I'd like to share with you guys why, from being on the Planning Commission, where it went to us for an initial approval and then coming to you guys, why I'm recommending a denial of this. One of the new things that has happened in the past 2 years since being on the Planning Commission is we have what's called a PUD, a planned use development. Many of the people who came here have said the same thing that I heard after immediately following the meeting when I started talking with the neighbors in the community. Some of the things we worked on was seeing how Forest Drive is not used as a local street, even though it is a local street. The reason why I recommend that we are denying this is because though the land use map shows that it could be consistent, the actual traffic circulation that is occurring there is not consistent with what the current development plans have been. I talked with Mary about this. I've talked at length with citizens, as well as with Mr. Wilkins, about what we can do. We've put up signs in the past few weeks, but traffic is still continuing. That neighborhood street has been used as a cut-through for as long as I've lived here. I used it, and I apologize, and I will never do that again. And, in the end, with this approval process, it will allow, if we were to rezone this, it will make it so that literally any kind of R3 development can happen there without any limitations. With the PUD itself, we can say, hey, we don't need an exit onto Forest Drive. That will cause major traffic concerns. It will allow for an actual better plan, I think, in place. And it is something this would be the second PUD if this is what the developer would like to try to do next. But I'm going to vote to deny this personally because I cannot put more traffic on Forest in the way it is, and the way I think that our land use map has shown that it hasn't been consistently changed to the way it's expected to. We know our land use map needs to be redone. We've been saying it for 3 years I've been on the Planning Commission. So in my mind, this is, for me, an easy denial.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I would like to just share that I did drive through the neighborhood, and the first thing I noticed there were no sidewalks. Children will be walking to school. That's just dangerous. The streets are narrow. And I do hear the concerns that you have, the concerns for crime. I do have a question no, I'm just going to skip that. I do hear your concerns. One of the things that I'm very passionate about is the city that I live in and serving the people that live here in Tullahoma. And the comment about the public housing just sort of, it rubbed me the wrong way. I think it was a bad comparison because you do have good people who live in Dorset. You know, people have to live somewhere and some people can't help where they live. So I just think that was a bad analogy or bad comparison to use because we just really need to be mindful that our city, we're made up of many different people who live in different areas, and it doesn't make one area better than the other. And so I was just sort of disappointed to hear that comment to come from someone, especially someone being an attorney. It just disappointed me to hear you say that. I am for the people, and that's all I have to say.
Any further discussion? Alderman Berry?
I am very pro-growth. When this first came across our packet, I thought I knew where I was. This Sunday, I spent about 3 hours in that area, and a lot of what I heard are the same things that I heard tonight. I am going to vote, I guess, yes to deny. But I think whether this passed or not, there are still some serious issues in this neighborhood. And I spoke with 2 families who were side by side, and you can literally throw a rock from here to where their school is, and they don't let their children walk to school because they get run off the roads. And so I would like to challenge us, and this isn't the only neighborhood. Somebody asked the question, are we a proactive board who addresses problems, or do we just listen to them? And so I would like to challenge this board and city administration to not just stop at this, but let's get into that neighborhood and figure out why every week there's a mailbox being ripped out of somebody's yard, why every month there's a accident. And so I would like to challenge us to not just stop with voting no or yes. It still feels weird.
Sorry.
Here tonight.
Okay, Mr. Mayor. So I think it's not even deniable that, again, everything that I do kind of goes back to my conservative values. And so when originally I was approached with this, I'm like, oh, well, I generally vote, I err on the side of the property owner. And because I believe that when you equate the rising costs of home ownership here in Tullahoma, and we're also looking at the need for affordable housing, and we're also trying to balance the individual rights of the property owners, and that they own that property and they're trying to develop it and it's theirs. And if there are, you're sitting, where this is sitting is in between, an elementary school and a middle school, and in an area where, to be honest, I think the traffic is a result of their people not letting their kids walk to school, especially during the school year, because there's not enough sidewalks.
No.
Hang.
Continue. Go ahead.
But there's also a lot of traffic that I think the traffic does need to be addressed there first with the schools and the sidewalks and things. Do I think that, like I said, normally I would err on the side of the property owner. However, I work for the people. And if this is not something that the people want, then I have no choice whether or not I want to approve a property owner's rights, but to side with the people and what you guys want. So I think, as I was saying, even without this going up, like Daniel was saying, that there are already some concerns with the traffic and why people aren't letting their children walk to school when you're already in between. And then I know that this past year, I was reached out to by a couple of people who live on Hood and Forest, and we had the lights for the schools turned on 30 minutes earlier, so that hopefully those kids could get to school a little safer and that slowdown would begin. So I have already been advocating for this neighborhood and what we can do to slow the traffic down, especially during the school year. But I think you're right. I don't think it's been enough. And I think that the traffic, that being a cut through from Robert E. Lee over to East, continues to be a problem. So I will too vote with the community rather than the property owner on this one, because I do think that we have to address those other issues first, and there might be a better place in town for this development. Thank you.
Any other comment?
I've got a comment. I want to first apologize to Mr. Hobbs because he spoke with me about a month ago about this, and on paper, it looked like an easy yes. It really did. I thought, okay, we do need more housing. And so I do want to apologize because I did at that point feel like that was the right thing to do. But I really want to commend all the people who came out today to bring forward some issues that I was not fully aware of. I know I've definitely seen the drainage issues. I'm, aware that we need sidewalks, and I think we're going to have the infrastructure in place first before we build up more housing. And so I want to commend you all because I was a yes, but I'm going to vote to deny. But thank you.
Any other comments?
So yes to say no.
Yes is to deny.
It's going to be yes to deny, but I have one more comment that I noticed it'll be fast. One of the things that we have done is we have put up "We Love Our Children" signs already to help slow traffic down there. I know God knows it's probably not working, but I also think that this is a street that we should be looking at to whether we should make it not a through street. I know that's another thing we've been discussing. We hear you. I think everybody here is hearing you. I think we just need to find out what the solves are. And I think one thing I know is after that planning commission meeting, after talking with the people afterward, how important it is for the communication, once again, like we've talked about, the lines of communication between us and the community, how we need to figure out ways to improve that so that we also don't waste Mr. Hobbs's time on something that maybe if we had known all this beforehand, he wouldn't have gone through all of it. Right. So we, just want to be cognizant of everyone.
Right.
Point of order, Mayor. If we vote to deny this, do we have to bring it up on a second reading? I don't think we do.
No.
Okay.
No.
So it kills it tonight. That's correct. No further questions.
I have one more comment, if you wouldn't mind. So, I think that somebody made this point earlier, but I don't think, there's already, a quadplex or something in that area. I don't think anybody would object if you talked about duplexes or possibly a quadplex. Yeah. But I think it's the idea of 23 apartments. And also to the comment about Dawson Apartments, I actually wanted to address that as well. I'll tell you, I have met some of the best people in Tullahoma that live in Dawson Apartments. Mm-hmm. And people get down on their luck, and we want that apartment, that housing authority to be kind of a transitional housing to help people rise above that. And I think that we as a community need to encourage that and continue to be a supporter and incentivize and create ways to give them the tools that they need to rise above that, and that continuing to be a transitional community. We who have been more fortunate and blessed and made some good decisions, need to be active and proactive in that community, not just this board, but this community. And you guys who are here, you guys don't live but a couple of blocks. And I'll just tell you that there are some fantastic people who live in Dawson. So.
Okay. Before we vote, I will make one comment. That is the fact that that particular property is currently zoned R1. With apartments there, it's non-conforming. So that's an issue that will also have to be addressed, but it will not have any bearing on this vote tonight. Is everyone ready to vote? Yes to deny.
Sorry.
The vote is 7-0 to deny. Moving right along, ordinance number 1562, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the City of Tullahoma set forth in Tullahoma Municipal Code, which is ordinance number 1392, to rezone approximately 1.06 parcel at 3574 New Manchester Highway from C2 General Commercial to R1 Low Density Residential with a passage on the first of two readings. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Move to approve from Blackwell and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Blanks. Any discussion?
This is yes to yes, right?
Yes to approve. Motion passes 7-0.
The first of two readings.
First of two.
First two readings. Next, we have an ordinance number 1564, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance City of Tullahoma, which is ordinance number 1392 by amending Article 2, definitions, Article 3, zoning districts and map, Article 4, specific district regulations, Article 5, general provisions, development of district overlay, and Article 10, administration and enforcement of staff duty and responsibility. Question for the passage on the first of two readings. This comes because of the reorganization of the planning codes and the new planning director for our city. And this went through comes to us from the Planning Commission as well. San Diego, you can brief us on this.
Yes, sir. I believe you skipped item number 12.
Yeah.
Yes,
I did.
but we're talking about 64 right now.
Yes, I'll go back.
Okay. Thank you, Mary Samaniego, city planner. Last year, the city administrator reorganized the planning and codes department to create two departments, community development and then building codes. Through that restructuring, new staff was hired, but unfortunately at that time, which we're trying to do now, the zoning ordinance did not update the titles and the job duties for all the new staff with their new titles. As example, there's no director of planning and codes anymore. It's either the public works director or the senior planner. So this text amendment will assign the duties and responsibilities of the zoning ordinance to the appropriate staff person.
Thank you very much for that explanation.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion from Berry, seconded by Blackwell. Any discussion? Vote yes, green for yes, red for no.
All right, hold on 1 second. I had not cleared the board.
Sorry.
The board is cleared. Please revote. Green for yes, red for no. Alderman Amacher. Sorry.
Oh, I had to do it too soon? Oh, okay,
Yes.
my bad.
Okay, so it's very good.
The ordinance passes 7-0. Moving back to ordinance number 1563, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the City of Tullahoma, which is ordinance number 1392 by amending Article 2, definitions of Article 4, specific district regulations for self-storage warehouse. That comes to us from a recommendation from the Planning Commission for approval on the passage of first of two readings. Your motion?
I'd like the motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve, seconded by Barry. Any comments, any discussion?
I had discussion on this one.
Explanation. I don't know what I'm.
So, this one, I actually voted against this at the planning commission level. And The reason why is this took a long time for conversation, but the original proposal from Mary was to include both I-2, if I'm correct, or both industrial and C2 in this, and it's regarding the shrubbery is what I used for self-storage units and fencing.
Thank you, Mary Samaniego. This text amendment is before you. The Planning Commission and the Board of Mayor and Aldermen back in 2011 did a exercise with the text amendment of the zoning ordinance where they renamed a bunch of commercial uses and moved them around from the C1, C2, and then the newly created C3 zoning district. During that exercise, self-storage warehouse use was removed from the C2 zoning district, but was not placed in any other district. So right now, the self-storage warehouse use is not allowed or entitled in any zoning district. I've had clients approach me wanting to open self-storage warehouse businesses, and there's no location for them to put it because it's a hole in your zoning code. So I initiated a text amendment through my analysis, which is included in your staff reports on pages 114 and 115. It's been determined that it's appropriate to put it in the C2 zoning district, but with additional landscaping requirement that's already built into your code, where they would have to put evergreen shrubs and trees at every 100 feet around the perimeter of the building in the C2 zoning district. And then they would also be allowed in the light industrial district with standard landscaping requirements that are already in your code.
So the newest commercial storage, or not commercial, but storage unit across, that comes up underneath the underpass, so it was built without a zoning area?
No, sir, that was before 2018.
Before 2018?
Yes, at 2018, they removed it from the
You said
zoning.
2011, though.
No, 2018, there was a code change done that removed self-storage warehouse as a permitted use from any zoning district.
Not purposefully, you don't think.
So that,
That came through me and you, but I don't remember that.
again,
That's why I was asking.
again, it was a text amendment where all the uses in all the commercial zoning districts were all moved around. So some uses were removed from the C1 to C2, some uses were moved, new uses were created. They did a complete reorganization of all the commercial uses. This use was dropped out. It was not placed in a new location. It was deleted.
So we're gonna change that and add some landscaping requirements, which, it's not different than any other, commercial establishment. They are required to put landscaping up as well, correct?
All commercial, in certain instances, commercial activities do have to put in landscaping. In this particular instance, because of concern about the aesthetics of self-storage warehouse uses, typically they're required to have fences around them, and it's just parking, drive aisles, and buildings. It's staff recommendation, based on the research I did, that they are required to do the evergreen option only of your existing landscaping code. So instead of just putting one deciduous tree every 100 feet, they would do the evergreen option landscaping where it's an evergreen tree and hedges. So the hedges would soften the appearance of the use.
So I just disagree with having the landscape ordinances for self-storage, because if you think about the purpose of this, you're generally going to have gravel parking, and you're going to need multiple turnaround areas, and this is not, I mean, if it's built into the code, I just feel like these are not manned areas where people are going in and out of these. These are not retail spaces. I just feel like that is over-regulatory in itself, and I would like for that to be exempted, for those facilities to be exempted from that.
From the additional landscaping, or
Yes.
all landscaping altogether?
From the additional landscaping, for sure.
One of the things to consider, if I may, one of the things to consider is many of these are on major thoroughfares. And it's not, and it's to protect, it's just to change the aesthetics of chain link fence, to sort of soften that view that you get from just strictly a chain link fence. The one over on Wilson Avenue and Collins Street is a good example where they've used this type of softening of a chain link fence. So that, and these self-storage units may be permitted in industrial settings as well. And there is no landscaping requirement in the industrial setting, only in the C2 setting.
I'll also comment that it's on the outside of the fence. So in terms of turnaround in the driveway and parking, it will not impede that at all. So this is on the outside of the fence, every X amount of feet. It is not, I mean, there's still a gate that they can go through. You know, in terms of their actual space, this shouldn't cause that to be an issue.
If I may, I believe it's just an extra cost added to a property business owner, and I'm just against that, but I fear that I am the only one.
Any further discussion?
Yes, as far as the landscaping, I know that I've seen in a couple of businesses, and I'm not going to name which ones, they've done the required plantings, but they're dead. And I was wondering if we could include the words, not just plantings, but maintenance, or something for that, or is that even anything? Go ahead. You look like you're ready.
No, per your code, required landscaping that is installed is required to be maintained.
Could you tell me what the consequence is if a business owner does not maintain their plantings?
If the code requires a certain landscaping requirement to put in, not above and beyond what the property owner wants to do on their own dollar, but if they're required to put in buffering, landscaping per the code, they have to maintain that. If they don't maintain it, it's a code violation.
Okay, gotcha.
I have one follow-up question that came to me at a coffee thing that I had with the question about planting of it. I'm assuming, because I'm not a forestry person, that there's a timing for planting certain types of things that you want to keep alive, and that if they're planting evergreens, this isn't going to, if they plant one at whatever time of the year it is, it's not going to die, right? These are evergreen. They literally live whenever, correct?
Well, if you planted right now, you would be.
You'd lose it. I think that's a really good point. I mean, oh, go ahead, Mary.
If it's not the appropriate time to install landscaping, we can bond for it.
Perfect. That was
We
my
tie
question.
the bond to a certain date, 90 days out. We can tie it to the certificate of occupancy. We can time it out to the appropriate time where the landscaping would survive.
That was my question. I didn't want them to spend money for no reason.
clearly the intent.
Could the person receive certificate of occupancy before the plantings?
Yes, if
Okay.
they bond for it, because then we're
I see.
holding the
I
letter of
understand.
credit. Right.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and seconded. Any further discussion? Green for yes and red for no. Motion passes 7-0. Ordinance passes 7-0. We've already done 1564. We move down to 1565, an ordinance of the City of Tullahoma, Tennessee to amend ordinance number 1540, adopting the annual budget tax rate for the fiscal year on the first of three readings. Our city administrator comment on what we're doing here.
This is an annual closeout of the past year's budget. We take all the resolutions, the transfers that have occurred during the year and roll them into a three-reading ordinance. In the one you have before you is just the operating funds, and subsequent readings we'll be updating, and we will be adding in probably the school's budgets, whatever their final budgets are for last year on the third reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Blanks, seconded by Blackwell. Any discussion? Green for approval, red for down. Motion passes 7-0. Resolution number 1861. Request to approve the downtown improvement grant application and the resolution. That's on page 169 in your packet. Do you have any questions?
no, but
Move to approve. Do we need to go to discussion?
You got a motion by Dunn. Blackwell, seconded by Blanks.
is it possible to combine?
We're not there yet.
Wait, we're not there yet.
But I
Oh,
hear
this is the downtown.
Downtown.
I hear you though, I think that's
The answer is yes.
Sorry.
Okay, this is downtown grant. The grant can fund approximately $100,000 worth of eligible facades and $50,000 worth of public infrastructure. This is a downtown facade grant.
I just want to thank Winston for all of his work on this.
He just left.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thanks, Winston. Thank you.
And abstention. Any further questions? Green for red, green for approval, red for denial. And that ordinance passes 7-0. Now then, we've got a series of resolutions for authorizing appropriations. That's 16 through 36. And one of those,
62 through
16 through 36.
1862.
The numbers that they're numbered at.
Thank you.
And for those, all of the text is going to be the same except for the name of the agencies we're approving the authorization for and the amount. We've already approved the amounts in previous meetings. I believe we have one item number, resolution number 1876, a resolution authorizing appropriation for the financial aid of the daycare center. I'd like to remove that from the ones that we'll be voting on. We'll vote on that separately. One of our aldermen is serving on that board and would be abstaining from that, so we'll vote on that one separately. Ordinance number 1876 will be separate.
Yeah, perfect, thank you.
Okay. Now then, we'll go to, for instance, on 171. And I will read one resolution that will apply to all of them. This is specifically for the Hands-On Science Center, but it applies to the rest of them. A resolution pursuant to the authority granted by Section 630-54-111 of Tennessee Code annotated in accordance with the internal control and compliance manual of the Tennessee municipalities authorizing appropriations for financial aid on the Hands-On Science Center, a nonprofit civic organization whose services benefit the general welfare of the residents of this municipality. And whereas the Hands-On Science Center is a nonprofit, charitable, and not-for-profit civic organization whose year-round services benefit the general welfare and the recipients of this and the residents of this municipality. And whereas Section 6-54-111 of Tennessee Codes Annotated authorizes appropriation of funds for the financial aid of such nonprofit, charitable, and nonprofit civic organizations. And whereas the Internal Code and Compliance Manual of the Tennessee Municipalities, Title 4, Chapter 3, Section 1, requires that a special resolution be adopted for each nonprofit, charitable, or nonprofit or civic organization which is to receive such funds. Now, therefore be it resolved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, the City of Tullahoma as follows. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen may appropriate funds from time to time in such amounts as they deem proper. And for the financial aid of the Hands-On Science Center, a non-for-profit, charitable, or not-for-profit civic organization whose year-round services benefit the general welfare of the recipient of the residents of the municipality. And number 2, such funds appropriated by the municipality for the Hands-On Science Center shall be spent in the following general purposes, for the following purposes, and that's for the general operations. All such funds shall be used to promote the general welfare of the residents of the municipality. And Section 3 says the Hands-On Science Center will comply with all requirements of Section 6-54-111 Tennessee Code Annotated Title 4, Chapter 3, Section 1 of the Internal Control and Compliance Manual for the Tennessee Municipality, particularly with regard to the submission and of annual control, annual report of the business affairs, of the transactions, and of the proposed use of the municipal assistance. And number 4, This resolution will take effect upon the passage of the public welfare requirement. Signed by the very nose over. That applies to all the ones that enumerated. I hear a motion to
Move
approve.
to approve.
Second.
Approved by Alderman Blackwell and seconded by Snobby McGee. Any discussion? All in favor vote green, all opposed vote red. And that vote passes 7-0. And now with one other resolution, and that will be, the words will be the same, but the resolution is for the financial aid to the Tullahoma Daycare Center. That's number 1876. Alderman Blackwell will be abstaining, so I hear a motion to approve from Dunn.
Second.
Seconded by Blanks. In discussion. All in favor vote green, opposed vote no. And that vote passes 6-0. Okay, the final item on the agenda for this evening is a request to approve a certificate of compliance for Mr. Patel at Liquor at Tullahoma Liquors, Inc., DBA North Jackson Wine and Spirits. And that's a change in ownership and requires a resolution approval. So do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second. Moved by Blackwell, seconded by Barry. Barry, all in favor, vote green, opposed, vote no.
Let's try that again. Sorry, guys. Too quick. Okay. There we go. Thank you.
Passes 7-0. We'll adjourn this Board of Mayor and Alderman meetings, no other new business. We'll go into the end of the beer board. Any public comments for the beer board? Hearing none, we'll move into the consent agenda. Item number 80, TV 25 minutes from the June 28th meeting for the beer board. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to
the
approve.
Consent agenda. Approved by Blackwell, seconded by McGee. Any discussion?
Barry? Barry second.
Hearing no
Sorry.
discussion, we'll vote green for yes, red for no. That vote
Pass.
passes 7-0.
Tell Stevie Ocean.
Being no further business to come before the board, will be adjourned.
All right, I need a couple signatures, guys.
Okay.
Yeah. To sign up, call